السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر وذكر الله كثيرا. صدق الله العظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. ربي زدني علما. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. First of all, Jazakumullah khairan for giving me this opportunity. To the Masjid Committee, also the Darul Ilm. And also Ustad mentioned that I could see things that other might not see. Ustad, mashallah, praising me. I'm not entitled to these qualities and what the praises Ustad has made for me. Jazakumullah khairan. Now the topic that I've been given, I'm sure we've seen on the poster, it says the perfect role model, or if I'm not wrong, it says, perfect role model, Uswa Hasana. Now before we get to the main topic, let me lay out a few points which will make it easier for us to understand why is Uswa Hasana and why is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the perfect example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. In this ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He makes it very clear. He's bold and frank about the purpose of our creation. It's simply to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing else. Now the thing is, Allah could have left it there and He didn't have to send any prophet to show us or guide us. Because we know Allah created us, He could have told us, now you look for ways to get to me. Now, I'm sure most of us heard this multiple times before about the old woman, her quote, what she said, that the camel's excretion leads us to camel, the footprints leads us to a man, that someone went past this way. Lastly, she mentions that Allah, if you look towards the sky, you see stars. If you look at the earth, all these creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which should lead you to Allah, without Allah telling you that I exist and I am your Lord. Because by looking at it, we could get to the conclusion that we are created by someone. We didn't just come about just like that. Now, from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decided to send messengers. Why messengers being human is another mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you were to send angels down, they would have been perfect. They would never make a mistake. They would live their entire life worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the problem with angels being messengers, that we could come up and say, oh, he doesn't go through the pain I go through. He doesn't go through the struggles I go through. He doesn't have any needs. On the other hand, I have needs. So from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has sent down not angels as messengers, humans as messengers. And how is that one of the greatest blessings, that we get to see their life, them going through the same struggles. And despite all these struggles, they still manage to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any doubt, without any issue. Now let's go get to our topic, the Uswa Hasana. We live at a time nowadays, if you open your phone, open your laptop, your TV, whatever, you name it, you'll find so many influencers, celebrities, footballers, YouTubers, and so many others, that they all claim that they have the best life. They understand the life better than anyone else. And they will show you that by showing you, look, I've earned this much money through this work, that work, and so many other long list of things they'll give you. And the purpose of the entire thing is that you can become like me if you follow my lifestyle. But the thing is, we all know deep down in our heart that that's not the person we should be following. But because of the temptation of this world, we fall for the trick. And what happens is we slowly, we started following them, idolizing them, and get to a point where we started imitating every part of their life. For example, dress code. Initially, when we were born, we wear whatever our parents taught us, this is what you should wear, right? You get to an age, you start seeing people wearing different types of clothes, so you start wearing like them. And then you get to another point where you start seeing them getting different haircuts every other month. So you, mashallah, start following them. And it leads to a point where you become just like them without even realizing that you're leaving your deen because you're following someone who does not follow deen at all. Now, that's where we make mistakes, that we idolize someone who is not perfect. Now, if I were to say to you, all of you here, that is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam perfect role model, I don't think any Muslim would deny. To ask the same Muslim, how many sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam can you name? And how many sunnahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do you follow daily? But some may be able to name 10, some won't be able to do that. But the thing is, that same person, he's not new Muslim. He was born Muslim, lived his entire life as a Muslim. But then when it comes to knowingly, he knows, I know, I'm talking about myself. I know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a perfect role model. But the problem is, when it comes to following, we come up with excuses. Oh, yeah, but I can't do that this time. Nowadays, you don't go about it this way. We do this. If you do this, people will question me. Or I won't get the. If I were to live life as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I won't get any success in this life. So long list of complaints I can give you. But the reality is, to be frank about it, it's all bogus. None of it holds any value. They're just coming up with excuse. They need excuse. And that step that people take, that's one of the dangerous steps. The reason is, if you look at one of the sin, the first sin that was committed by Shaitan, the Iblis, what was it? Him not prostrating in front of Adam. What did he do right after that? He gave reasoning for it. When a person does something wrong, if you accept it's wrong and you move on, it's a good thing. Yes, you committed sin, but you at least accepted the fact that you done something bad. But when you commit a sin and then you justify it, that's a dangerous place to be in, because then you are justifying something that is wrong. I'm standing here telling you I don't follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the perfect way man should follow. I don't think I am. Now, I know I'll try my best throughout my life. Now, if I come and give you a long list of reasoning why I don't follow, you'll sit there, you'll think he's just coming up with excuses because he doesn't want to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the thing is, if I were to ask some of you like that, you do the same thing. Because it's just naturally how we behave. It's just how we are. And the earlier we accept that in our life, it's easier to live, because then you know what to do, what the problem is, and you know the solution. Now, I'm going to go off topic if I continue. Now, celebrities, for example. Celebrities, who we tend to look at as role models. Let's just say, I don't know, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, I'm talking generally. You have some footballer, for example, you look up to. Or let's just say some actor or something you look up to. Now, we tend to know every movie they acted on. We tend to know the footballer, every goal he has scored, every club he has played for, every team he scored against, the amount of goals he scored. People memorize that, by the way. You'll be surprised how much youngsters know about each footballers and how many goals they score, how they scored, what each season, how many goals they scored. You'll be surprised. Tell that person to learn Surah Fatiha and Bismillah. He's stuck after second ayah. But they can memorize all that. Why do you think that is? Again, I'm not saying they're bad, they're not evil. They're just trying to enjoy their time. The thing is, see the love they have for the football, and the love they have for the player, whomever they support, or the actor they support. That love leads them to look how many things they're memorizing. Now think about it, if you were to redirect that love to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what they could become. See their potential? That person that can learn hundreds of goals that one player scored and every club he scored for. That if that same person, he starts to love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the same way. Imagine the amount of Sunnah you could follow of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine what he could do with his own life for akhirah. But the thing is, problem is, most of the time, why they get to that point is that they're not aware of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, we all know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the messenger. But the thing is, how much do you know of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You read few seerahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and that's it. We don't really sit down and understand every step of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what he went through. Today nowadays, again, nothing here written, but it just come to my mind just now, You know, there's one problem that youth go through because of a lot of, you know, stress they go through, depressions and so many other, you can name a lot of these problems they go through. Do you know that there were times Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he himself was very worried. Recite Surah Duha, you will know he was worried. I'm not saying Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lost his iman, astaghfirullah, no. What I'm saying is he was worried at that time. What do you think he was doing when he was worried at that time? He was always waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him something. Today we are worried. The second we get worried, the first thing we think of, I need a therapist. I need so many other things we'll name, but we'll forget the main our creator who we're supposed to turn to. Instead we start turning to someone else or something else. And what that does, you know, the iman, al-iman yazid wa yanqus, increases and decreases. Decreases means, you know, when you're at a point in your life when you see no hope, it gets to a stage where you lose hope even in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that happens when you don't have any connection with Allah. And in this world, I haven't seen Rasulullah. Many of you, all of us here, we never met Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But we still believe in Rasulullah, don't we? The thing is, our only and one way to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How do you think that you will be able to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without getting close to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's not possible, it's impossible. You can't take out Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from the kalima. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We are Muslims, we know that. That's the first kalima, we know that. We all read it. Maybe by now most of us read it thousands of times. Ever realize that the La ilaha illallah right after that comes Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Without Muhammad you can't get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was sent. He was one of the dua he used to make. Allahumma ahini miskina wa amitni miskina wa ahshurni fi jumlati masakin. Now how many of us will sit here and actually make that dua? I live my entire life struggling. I live my entire life without living a luxurious life. Instead we'll be like, no, I rather have a lot of money. I want to have a nice life. It's not wrong. I'm not saying it's not wrong. See, the thing is, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived his life, struggled throughout his entire life to teach us that in life you're not going to have everything you want. You're going to go through difficulties. How do you deal with it? And he dealt with it himself. And he showed us step by step. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if you look at it, start from the beginning of his life. First years in Mecca, the entire those years he spent in Mecca, one of the main lessons you can take from there is patience. Patience. Imagine this. You have your beloved, someone you love you love the most, that is killed in front of you, and you can't do anything. One of the first martyrs of Islam is Hazrat Ammar radiallahu ta'ala, his father, his mother. If you look at them, can anyone here claim that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't care for them? We can't claim that, right? We know he cared for them. They died by him. He knew that they were killed. He knew who killed them. He knew how they were killed. Despite all that, he kept it in. He was patient. First lesson you can learn from there. You know the patience in life? Going through difficulties does not mean Allah doesn't like you. If that was the case, then every prophet would be disliked by Allah. Because look at the pain they went through. Look at Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah told Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam to slaughter his own son. Now if you take lesson that, or if Allah makes me go through difficulties, I'm disliked for Allah, then Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam will be the first one that was disliked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because look at the test Allah made him go through. Going through tests, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing you to see whether you pass it or not. And if you pass it, inshallah, your rank will be elevated. If not, at least your sins will be forgiven for the difficulties you're going through. Now, back to celebrities again. We follow their lifestyle, we follow everything. But do you know that the same celebrities, you learn thousands of their goals, or thousands, I don't know if they can score thousands, but like hundreds of goals they scored, that you learn when they scored, or how they scored. The same celebrities, do you know that he doesn't know you exist? Do you ever think that he doesn't even know that you exist on this earth? Forget thinking about knowing your name, or where you're from, or what you like. They don't even know of your existence. But you're still willing to love them unconditionally. On the other hand, in return you get nothing. But the Rasulullah, who we tend to, sadly, we don't love the way he should be loved. Do you know that he used to cry for us all the time for our forgiveness? I'll share with you a hadith of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. She says, once I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a good mood. He was in a good mood, he was happy. So I asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam if he could make dua for me. He made dua, Allah forgive the sins of Aisha, past, present and future. All the sins she has committed or she might commit, forgive them all. She was extremely happy when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made that dua. She was overjoyed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to her, the dua I made for you, it made you this happy. She replied, how can I not be happy when you made such a dua for me? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied to her, this is the dua I make for my ummah after every salah. Not that Rasul, we tend to ignore his sunnahs, He cared for you long before your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents thought of your existence. He cared for you. He didn't just care for you, he made sure to make dua for you so Allah forgives you. Now on the other hand, we tend to overlook everything as long as we get what we want, even if it's the overlooking sunnahs of Rasulullah. And a lot of time, you know, the one thing is, no Muslim will stand up and say, oh, I don't like Rasulullah, I have a problem with Rasulullah. But indirectly, with the action, they'll show that they don't like Rasulullah. Give them options between following sunnah and following something that is no sunnah. A lot of time, people go with something that is not sunnah. Again, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone saying, oh, you do this or you do that. Putting myself there as well. It happens. We just don't realize it. In another hadith the other day I heard is regarding the dua Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made. 3 du'as he made. Allah gave him permission to make du'as, and he made 3 du'as. One of them was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't destroy us with calamities, with problems. Another one was similar to this one. Third one was we don't have infighting. Allah accepted first 2, Allah didn't accept the third one. Now the thing is, think about this. We've read about the problems the previous ummah went through. Look at Ummah of Nuh. They were killed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them all with flood. Look at the Ummah of Ad, Ummah of Thamud. They were all destroyed because they disbelieved and they disobeyed the messenger. But the thing is, the same Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was aware of this. And what did he do? He made dua to make sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not destroy us the way he destroyed the previous ummah. Now today, the same Prophet who cared for us in every single way possible you can think of as a human, we will overlook the same Prophet's teaching if it benefits us in overlooking his teaching. And it's become a common thing. Again, not pointing fingers at anyone. It's something that you yourself look at your own life. You will see, do you prioritize Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah, or do you prioritize your own time? Do you prioritize Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sunnah, or do you prioritize making more money? Do you prioritize staying healthy, or do you prioritize the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When I say healthy, for example, Fajr time, at Fajr, waking up at Fajr, it's not easy. It's difficult. Right? Let's not make it sugar-coated like it's easy, I can get up. It's hard. No one denies that. But the thing is, when you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you love Rasulullah, you will get up. You will suffer. You'll be cold. Nowadays it's freezing. So you'll do your wudu, you'll go to salah and you'll pray. What motivates you? It shows that you have iman in your heart. Now you want to boost that iman, you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? With your actions, not with your words. I can sit here, give a long lecture and every other word can be I love Rasulullah, I love Rasulullah. But in my heart I might not follow any sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's something everyone goes through, by the way. It's something everyone goes through, just that we don't really want to acknowledge it. Now, loving Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is part of iman. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله. If you say that you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obey me, follow me, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. What I mentioned in the beginning, that you cannot claim that you love Allah, or you cannot claim that you are the perfect Muslim on the other hand, you don't love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You come up with a line like, oh yes, I love Allah, I follow every ruling, but I'm not going to follow any sunnah. how can you call yourself Muslim? We know that if someone says La ilaha illallah, but then he doesn't believe in the rest, he's not Muslim, is he? He can, if that was the case, if you believe in Allah, but you don't believe in the messenger, every previous ummah that are alive now, two are alive right now, they should be considered Jannati as well. Because they believe in Allah. Well, some are twisted way, but they still believe in Allah, some. Well, Jews, they believe in Allah, but they don't believe in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So do you consider them Muslim? No, we don't. We know that, we all know that. No one can disagree with that. But the thing is, when it comes to following Rasulullah, well, we back down. Now look, today we live at a time, it's hard. It's hard to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because we are tempted to do it so many ways. But the thing is, we know this was going to happen. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us this 1400 years ago that we will go through this. Now hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it's like living at end time, it's like holding a burning coal in your hand. We know that. We know that because we've read it. I'm sure all of us read it once at least, hadith. But the thing is, we don't think. Burning coal doesn't mean literally burning coal. Burning coal means the difficulties you'll go through. Praying will be harder. Praying will be harder, but you'll have some nice name for it. Oh, from 9 till 5 you have to work. You get this money. If you don't work, if you take a break for Zuhr, you lose out this much money. In 1 hour you lose out this much. It happens. So when they start thinking the amount of money they lose, the outcome of it is that they find a way to not pray. I met one brother once. He performed Hajj. MashaAllah. He performed Hajj. Took his mother for Hajj as well. I asked him, oh MashaAllah, so you must be praying every salah. He prays 5 prayers at Isha time. So basically Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, all at Isha time. I asked him why. He said, well, I work for a company and I have to go in the morning 6 o'clock. By the time I get back, it's Isha time. So he sacrifices 4 prayers for beer money and he performed Hajj. Yeah, I was gobsmacked. I didn't know what to say. Imagine saying I performed Hajj. But I haven't prayed, I don't pray any Salah. Salah is the first pillar. Salah is the first pillar. Salah is the first thing you'll be asked about in their judgment. Not Hajj. It'll be Salah. And something daily you're supposed to do. And the problem again, I'm not saying that brothers is going to end up in Jahannam, astaghfirullah. There's a chance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might forgive him. There's a chance he might become a pious person near the end of his time, before he passes away. The thing I'm trying to say, why do you think that brother went to that level? He's unaware. He's very unaware of Islam. He's Muslim, born Muslim, he spent his entire life being a Muslim. But he doesn't know the rulings of Islam. Number 2, he didn't spend his time learning about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when you start reading about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you see his life, how he lived. More time you spend reading about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, outcome of you will be that you will slowly find the way to imitate Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his way, how he led his life. But that's not going to come easy. It's difficult, but it will come slowly. You just have to give yourself time. There's in this, for example, there's an Urdu saying goes like, pumpkins. Pumpkin. I don't know if you've ever seen the pumpkin farm. The one starts becoming yellowish. Slowly it starts getting into the color that is about to be ripe. Then you see the next one start copying the first one, and then it's just a domino effect for every single one of them. This same effect happens to human. When we surround ourselves within a community or in a group of friends or families even, who don't really want to hear about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, slowly what happens is, initially let's just say you genuinely wanted to learn about Rasulullah. But you go to family saying, did you know Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this? Family like, don't act too holy. You're becoming too pious. Relax a bit. Now what you do is initially you're like, I don't like him. But then as you start spending more time with them, the time comes when you're like, yeah, it's true, I'm becoming too holy. I think I should relax a bit now. 5 prayers is okay. There's something my Ustad used to say, one of my teachers used to say that always to us. When it comes to salah or any a'mal in general, what you get out of it will depend on you. For example, if you're a person who always prays all his nawafil, leaving a sunnah will be extremely difficult for you, because the nawafil is optional. You pray, you feel like you're praying, pray. If you don't feel like praying, it's fine. Nawafil. Now, if you're a person who prays nawafil all the time, praying sunnah, it's extremely easy, and you can't leave. You'll not leave sunnah. If you're a person who prays sunnah all the time, you'll never leave wajibat, anything that is wajibat or muakkadat. Now, if you're a person who leaves sunnahs, like you don't really give that much attention to it, leaving behind those salah which are wajib or sunnah muakkada becomes very easy, because you don't really give it that importance, because your lowest category is sunnah muakkada for you. And the next step is salah, the older 5 prayers. You become a person who prays 5 prayers only, that's it, done. And then the time comes, you start thinking 5 is too much, maybe I can pray 1. And then slowly there's none. And then by the time you get to a stage where you don't even realize how you ended up there. You won't realize. It's a step-by-step process that we don't realize. And the first step to saving yourself from that problem is if you are surrounded by wrong people, change the surrounding. Number 2, start reading about Islam. Nowadays, Seerah kitabs, there's abundantly everywhere. Open YouTube, search up Seerah course, you'll find hundreds of them. But we can sit down and watch movies which are 2 hours long, 3 hours long, but tell the same brother, sit down and listen to Seerah of Rasulullah for 20 minutes. I'm busy. Mashallah, they'll be busy with something. Busy with laziness, sitting around, that's what they mean by them being busy. I've heard this before. I'm not just making this up. I've heard this excuse before. You're busy, what are you going to do? They don't have an answer. They're busy. Ask them, brother, sit down, listen to this. I'm busy. Why are you busy? I'm busy. They're not busy, they just don't want to listen. And this is about Rasulullah who cried, who bled, who cried every night for me and you. Make sure that we are saved from Jahannam and we somehow end up in Jannah. If Rasulullah was given I'm saying this, I know he wasn't, but if he was given the choice to take every ummah to Jannah, every ummah, I'm pretty sure he'll do anything as long as every ummah enters Jannah. That same man, today, we come up with a line like, yeah, I'm too busy for 2 rakat sunnah. I'm too busy to follow this sunnah of Rasulullah. It's become we don't think of it as a big deal anymore. And do you know why I'll give you an example of parents, for example. Your parents worked hard their entire life to look after you. And then finally they get to an age where they're retired and can't do much themselves because they're ill, right? And then you say to them like, look, now you're useless, so go to your old people's house. I ain't looking after you. I can't look after you. I got no money for that. You go there, they'll look after you, and I'm going to come visit you once a month, inshallah. How do you think your parents going to feel? How do you think? Just have a wild guess what your parents going to feel. They're going to wish like, why did I ever bring this guy to this world? But the thing is, despite this hatred towards your parents, how you treated them, do you know that your same mother, the mother will still love you unconditionally, knowing that you didn't care for her. Rasulullah cared for you and me 100 times more than that. And he asked us the same thing, in return love me the same way. He says, and I know, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده والناس أجمعين وولده والناس أجمعين. That no one will be a complete believer until he loves me more than his own parents, his children, and all the people in the world. I'm sure we heard the hadith of Umar, that he once came to Rasulullah and said, I love you more than anything else in the world, except myself. I love myself more than anyone else. Rasulullah said, you're not complete mu'min until you love me more than yourself. And he said that I love you more than myself. And then what did Rasulullah said? Now you have become a complete believer. We know that. We read this hadith, we hear it from shaykhs, we hear it in Jumu'ah, we hear it in other different talks. But the thing is, ever thought about it? That do we have the love of Rasulullah? I know the topic was Uswa Hasana. I'm talking more about the love of Rasulullah. Uswa. That Rasulullah becoming your guide, your role model will only happen when you love Rasulullah. You can't come up with a line like, I don't love him, but I'm going to follow him. Today you'll follow him, tomorrow you'll find a way to follow someone else. That's this world. That's how we deal with the worldly people. When it comes to Rasulullah, we should only follow him, Rasulullah, after we learn to love Rasulullah. And that will come. Read the seerah of Rasulullah. Read. We don't read. Read. You read, and you see slowly you'll fall in love with Rasulullah. And following his footsteps will be much easier. Lastly, I'll end with this. In a ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُؤْذُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وأعد لهم عذابا مهينا. You know, this ayah is very, very scary, because think of it, the example of the parents I gave you. Now think of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From the day he was born till the day Rasulullah passed away, the difficulties he went through and the amount of problems he faced throughout the way, hoping that this ummah is somehow guided, right? Guided. And after all that, we come 1400 years after saying, well, he worked hard, but I'm gonna try doing my way and I'll somehow find my way to Jannah. And Sunnah has become a trivial thing that you follow, you feel like it, if you don't feel like it, it's okay. Imagine how you're belittling Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imagine on the day of judgment you'll face Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In this ayat Allah says, those who harm Rasulullah, hurt him in any way, Allah cursed them in this world and in hereafter. We live at a time, people mock Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People mock Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now I'm not telling you to do anything that is, unlawful, you shouldn't do. But the thing is, they mock. They're saying like, yeah, I don't mock Rasulullah, I love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But you're the same person who doesn't want to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They might be mocking him by saying stuff. You're mocking Rasulullah by not following him. Following Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not supposed to be something difficult. It's supposed to be part and part. You know how we breathe? It's supposed to be like that. Not that difficult. But the thing is, we made it difficult on ourselves by putting ourselves in a situation where following Rasulullah has become something difficult, because we think like if you follow him, we'll end up losing in the dunya. You're not gonna. Our main purpose, that the first ayah I recited today, first ayah, that Allah, what's the purpose of us being created? The purpose was that we enter Jannah and we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The single purpose, you worship Allah, in return I'll give you Jannah, right? We also believe that we have to go to Jannah, we have to believe in Rasulullah, number one, follow Rasulullah in footsteps. But then why is it difficult to not to follow Rasulullah? Why is it so difficult? And that's the second problem, is that we don't read about Rasulullah. We hear about it, we don't learn about Rasulullah, we hear and we come up with lines, different and funny lines that I've mentioned before. No, it's scary. And then we live at a time, the more you live like that, the outcome of it will be that you will go more further away from Rasulullah. Because remember, Iman, staying as a Muslim is very difficult. And that difficulty will only go if you put yourself, if you strengthen your Iman. And the strengthening of Iman is the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إن أصبت فمن الله من أخطأت فمني من الشيطان وآخر دعوانا. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to act upon it, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to follow the commands of Rasulullah and follow the footsteps of Rasulullah.